Great. I just want to say thanks to everybody who is joining us, and some are in the process, and say Happy New Year to everybody. And do sign in on the chat feature if you haven't already, just to say, just your name and library. We've got all the registration information. It just helps us keep track of who's here. I will do my best to acknowledge questions. We're on more than one screen, so it can be tricky, but my able-bodied fellow board member, Marsha McLaughlin, who's in Greenland, will be monitoring the chat. So if you have questions, putting them in the chat is a great idea. And we'll do our best. And if you're on the screen with me, I will see you if you jump up and down and raise your hands, or just, it's okay to interrupt if you've really got something good to say. So before we get into, oh gosh, what's gone wrong, or the budget woes or anything, I was in a talk yesterday, and they were talking about positive things that had come out of the pandemic, and hopefully there are some. And it just occurred to me that if anybody did have something positive that had happened because of the pandemic for their library, or something that, we've all had good success with curbside pickups and stuff, but at least, something that really was good, something positive. I just thought I'd like to kick off with some good stories. So does anybody have any good stories?
I can share one.
Okay, great. Rick?
I'm Rick Wood from Antrim, Tuttle Library. We were able to install a 100-foot train in our children's room during the downtime. And with the occasional visit of kids coming in, it's been a great attraction for the kids when they go into the children's room to see the train running. It was helped with donations on our historical society and the library itself. So it was a great event, and we had 5 elder gentlemen installing it, and they were like kids installing a train. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's fun. Does anybody else have anything?
Julie from Jaffrey said she had some good stories.
Okay. Julie.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, and I can see you. You're on.
So I'm the director in Jaffrey, and actually we're trying to always look at the silver lining to everything, and I know that's hard right now, but in many ways there were lots of forward-thinking service models that we had in mind before the pandemic that we thought would be hard to implement, or that would take a lot longer to implement. Lots of things related to self-directed programming, and certainly online access, creating programming that could reach people who might not actually be able to physically attend at the library. So these were things we had talked about in 2019 as goals. And so the pandemic was a little bit of a boost in that way. It was really like a catalyst that people sort of got on that roaring train, whether they wanted to or not. And it's actually been really successful. It's allowed us to take some of those service models that we talked about and thought about that were ways to deal with being short-staffed, for example. So that self-directed programming for us was, we were so busy, we had so many staff trying to do programs, just not enough staff, not enough time, not enough space. But we actually were able to perfect that model because of the circumstances, and it's turned out to be really great to create those ways for people to engage with the library, whether they're physically here or not. So just try to find the silver lining.
Oh yeah, no, there's always a silver lining. Yes, Rosemary?
Just a quick thing. I'm Rosemary Darcy from the Myatt Sleeper Library in Bristol. One of the things that we started during the pandemic was home delivery. We have a number of elderly people in our community, and rural, very rural. And we've been able to bring materials and pick up materials. And it's not a unique thing, I'm sure, but it was the pandemic that sort of was the impetus to get us to do it. And I'm sure it will go on long after the pandemic is no longer a problem.
Yeah, my library has, we did this before the pandemic. We did a home delivery service for people who are ill or shut-ins or whatever. And it's been pretty popular. We don't like to talk about it too much because then everybody will want it. I see Newmarket says that they got some maintenance done, and Antrim, yep, mentions that they got some wood floor refinishing. So yeah, it's good. Anything else that is a little unusual, or yeah, Terry? You have to okay.
No, yeah, I was working on it. Not really unusual, but we finally got a newsletter going that we talked about for years. And it went from, we knew we had an issue. How do you get hold of those people who are homebound? How do you get the information out to them?
Mm-hmm.
You put some articles in the local shopper because almost everybody gets that. But we also, it was just hard. The newsletter still only gets people who are online.
Yeah.
But it became not just a library newsletter, it's now a community newsletter.
Okay.
If you want to know how to, the hours of the transfer station, they've got a link on our newsletter. What are we going to do about voting? It's there. What is, all those kind of things. How to sign up for weather alerts in the town.
Mm-hmm.
Just all kinds of things. And we got a very nice, wow, this is great. And I had never heard this term, so I don't know if she coined it, but she said, the patron said, we have now created a now vital resource for the community. I hadn't heard that now vital, but it was good. And we will keep it going. It takes a little time. Right now we're doing it weekly. We will probably go to bi-weekly or a monthly at some point.
Yeah, once you gear up and get back with all the people coming in, hopefully.
Yeah.
Soon. But yes,
Hi.
Susan.
It's Diana from, I'm from Sandown.
Okay.
So I think the pandemic has allowed us all to be more creative in how we deliver services. We're having children's story hours recorded. They're on our website. So it's for people that would come live, but for maybe parents who work and can participate in it after work. So we're, it's giving us more freedom to allow people that can't come to story hours to participate with their children at home now. So I think it's really stretching our staff to be more innovative in the way they deliver their program. We also in Sandown have, they did a lot through the summer. They did make and take programs. So when they did their summer reading programs, they had the children's librarians put together little packets of crafts for the children to make, and people had to register. They picked up the craft. Then there was a Zoom demonstration on how to do this. So I mean, it was very interactive. So children could ask questions. They also had, they invited people from the community to come in one at a time into the library to do a Zoom story reading for the children at home. So, we tried to be really creative, and these are things that we think we're going to continue even after the pandemic, because we find that people like a little more freedom in the time they sit with their children and listen to story hour. So.
Katrinka, we had Susan. She had her hand up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay, and this really picks up on what Diana said. Our programming has changed, and we have a take and make more crafts with young kids and parents doing crafts together. And because we're a very small library in Barrington, this has allowed for more people to participate. So that's garnered a lot more participants to participate. And similar to what Julie said from Jaffrey, it's staying positive And we've been very fortunate. We've had a lot of donations, good sized financial donations coming in.
Oh, good. Because
Which
you're still
yeah,
working on it.
unsolicited, and that's been a very positive. It's another way of showing appreciation. So we've been happy about that.
Well, yeah, because you're still hoping to move forward with your building project.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Katrinka, I don't know if Dee Bergeron or Martha Wilson from Dunbarton would like to expand on the items that they put on chat.
Oh, the books by the bundle?
Yeah, I don't know. I've checked a lot of the screens. A lot of the people are black just with their names. So I can't see a raised hand if there's.
Hi, this is Martha.
Oh,
Hi, Martha.
There you are.
Hi.
Martha.
Hi, I just we're a small library as well, and one of the things that we started doing first started with for kids, and now for adults as well, is if a patron calls in and they're like, well, I don't know exactly what I want, you know, people can reserve things online, but if they don't know what exactly they want, our librarian will hand pick a handful of books and get them ready for curbside pickup for them.
Okay, just talking about a certain interest, or
Right.
you say, I'm bored of my recipes, I'm tired of cooking, let me get some
Yes.
cookies.
My son loves trains, so how about some books about trains, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's a really good idea. Yes, Mo?
Hi, it's Mo Baptiste, and I'm from the Francistown Library. And one of the things I thought was really creative was last week we decided to have kind of a COVID clinic. Basically not really a clinic, but helping individuals setting up an appointment to come in and to try to sign up for the COVID vaccine online last week on Friday for the 65 and older people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really, really well reserved. I'm very well attended, one by one by one. And then the other thing we did, we've taken the time to just redo floors and touch up all kinds of painting and to make the library look a little spiffier. And we've also, it just seems like we've had more people that have had an interest in the library, which has been great. And our children's programs, and our children's librarian has said there's been a huge increase because an awful lot of the children are at home doing remote learning, and therefore, and a lot of them have chosen to do homeschool instead of doing, public school education. So many mothers are saying we're starting a unit on, snow, or we're starting a unit on this. And so our children's librarian has been getting large quantities of those books together for the different families who have been doing that, as well as extending it with art projects that kind of go with the units that the parents are doing with the students. So we've seen a real uptake in the use of the library from families' points of view, which has been very, very encouraging for us.
Yeah, because they hopefully will stick with you.
Well, that's what we're hoping.
So Jane in Walpole Town Library, you mentioned a virtual library bake-off that you're planning. I want to hear about that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So what we're doing is we're having people bake a cake and decorate it, and then they're going to take pictures of it and send us the picture with a brief description. So they do that the first 2 weeks of February, and then we're going to post the photos online on our website, and we have a Google form, and people can vote for the most delicious looking cake, the best decorated cake, and the cake that makes them smile, and the winners will each win a cookbook. So we're looking
okay.
I can't claim credit for it totally because I've seen other libraries that have done it too. So we just
I heard about that, and they get to keep their own cake too. So there.
Yes,
exactly. Okay, bundles for the kids. Is anybody else before we want to move on to another topic?
Looks like Pat there was her hand up.
Maybe Pat Wilson? Is that the right name?
I'm from Joseph Patch Library in Warren, very small library. I have a question on the newsletter that you're putting out. We have a newsletter, but the fact that you've moved it into a community newsletter is very interesting. And how do you distribute that?
This is a constant comment platform. So it goes, we started with a very few emails that we had permission to use. And then with word of mouth and putting notes in anything that was going out on curbside delivery, it just has gone word of mouth. It's gone higher. We did not have, when we automated the collection or whatever, we didn't build the database with all the emails. And those emails we did have, a lot of emails that we did have, we didn't have something that said, yes, you can email me. So we tried to take it very slowly and then building it up. And then with the couple of articles in the shopper, it has built it. And people are, the first time it went out, people didn't click on it. And I knew for a fact that mine was going into promotions, even though I'm the chair of the trustees, but I couldn't find it in my email because it was under promotions. So we had to talk to people about, making sure you somehow highlight it so it comes into your normal email. And then we had issues with the phone service because they thought it was junk mail, so they were not delivering it to a lot of people. So it was not, the first month or two was a little bit difficult. Just things to watch out for.
Okay, thank you.
I did post, I put in the chat, I put the link to the newsletters.
Okay, great. And I don't want to remind people that it's easy to, when we stop, I'll leave the chat up for a little bit so that you can copy it and paste it. If there's anything in there that you want to see and remember, especially if anybody puts, yep, there's the Pillsbury free newsletter link in there. And so yeah, I know, just to changing gears a little bit, Lori Fisher is here somewhere. She's not on my first screen, but she did sign in the chat, and she's been at the ALA convention, which just ended yesterday. And any news from the National Library world?
Yeah, there's always news. So let me start with, so at the State Library, we're still doing, I think, pretty well with the van service. You may have heard from some of your library directors or staff that there have been some cancellations of routes and pickups along the way. And this isn't due really to COVID per se. We've had some staffing shortages over the past couple weeks. And remember, it's winter. There have been some weather issues, particularly back around Christmas. And there's also, people taking vacation, and there is a hiring freeze. So for the state. So we're doing the best we can. I did a van route to the Capital Region route 2 weeks ago. So we're all pitching in to try to help. So, just please be patient. Just know that we're all working as hard as we can at the State Library to keep all the routes running at all times. When we cancel, there is a really good reason, and we're not trying to be difficult. So there's that. The director's calls are continuing. I have changed up sort of the what we're doing on a monthly basis. We're doing one monthly director's call at the beginning of the month, and then I'm trying to do a professional development webinar presentation once a month too. So this past month in January, Adam Schlager, who's the director at Sandown Library, he did his master's thesis on communications in the healthcare field, which had a lot of parallels with communications ideas and the science of communication in libraries. So he did a really good presentation on the 21st, which was recorded, and I'm trying to find a home for that recording so it can be available for everyone. Really had some good points about how to communicate among your various stakeholders, which includes, your board of selectmen, your budget committee, library staff, library trustees. So it's probably going to be well worth you guys taking a look at. And once I find a home for that, which I'm hoping I will soon, then I will be able to send a link out to the NHLTA list. So upcoming professional development webinars there's going to be a series of 3 of them from Primex. over February, March, and April on HR. So that'll include things like hiring practices, dealing with programs such as FMLA and ADA, and employee evaluation. So I would encourage this is mainly geared toward library directors and managerial library staff. So I would encourage them to sign up. I've sent out the links to the NAES list a couple times now. And I will be soliciting questions to provide to Carol Kilmister, who's the Primex representative, who I'm sure some of you know who she is. She's very good with HR questions. Sending questions to her prior to each session so that she can try to gear the presentation to what our various libraries need. And then after that, I'm in the throes of trying to figure out what that's going to look like for upcoming ones. So there's that piece of it. The other thing I wanted to talk about today is something that somebody else mentioned. I believe it was Mo Baptiste mentioned about the having her library on Friday have computer reserve time so that people could get internet access and assistance on the vaccination process. So the state, the governor's office put out a call to all state agencies to recruit people from every agency. Every agency had to have some people volunteer to help staff the call center. And because I wanted to be able to get a good handle on what's going on, I'm one of the volunteers. So I have been in the call center 4 hours a day since Friday, so last week. So I'll give you just a quick overview, and then I'm more than willing to answer questions you have. But my basic message to all of you is that this is a golden opportunity for libraries to show their value to their communities by helping this over 65 population to do the registration process. So what happens, and for those of you who haven't dealt with the vaccine piece yet, it's a two-step process. First, you have to pre-register, and that determines your eligibility. And that is through the 211 call center, or you can go to the state's website that provides you the ability to online register. So that's just registration to get to schedule. So the second piece is through what's called VAMS, the Vaccine Administration Management Software.
75% of you voting right now.
Are we okay? So the next step is to schedule the appointment, which is through VAMS, which is the CDC's Vaccine Administration Management System. So your scheduling is not taking place through any kind of state maintained software. It's actually through federal software through the CDC. So it really is somewhat confusing. Actually, I'm going to be honest, it's more than
there are some just general questions that have come in via chat while you all are responding. There are about 250 people attending today, for those of you that were asking how many are on this webinar. And for those of you that are raising your hand,
can you mute Beverly Marshall, please?
The Q&A pod. So I can't call on you.
Thank you. I think they are obviously listening to something else.
Okay, yeah, I just muted her. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So, so in any case, this process, I'm going to be bluntly honest, highly confusing. The communication has been abysmal, and libraries right now could be of great assistance in their communities. I can tell you that the biggest questions I am seeing over the past just 2 days are seniors who have either no internet or very little tech skills, and they are trying to do this whole thing online. And I spent 45 minutes on the phone with a woman just trying to help her to set up a password for the scheduling software so she could get in to schedule her appointment. So I guess my bottom line is I'm just encouraging you, even if your library is closed to the public, there's no reason why your staff at the library could not put out even just an informational thing to their community. And there's been some great graphics shared on the NAES list about the eligibility, about what the process looks like. And just telling people that they can call the library and maybe schedule an appointment to talk to a librarian if they're having trouble. Because, you know, it's really tough to troubleshoot something over the phone like that. So if you do have your library open in any capacity and can schedule computer sessions for people to come in and get some of that one-on-one help, that's even better. So the volume is absolutely huge. And I am scheduled to do 4 hours a day for the next 2 weeks on this call center. Okay.
Wow.
And it's frankly, it's overwhelming. So, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have on the vaccine process as it's appropriate for libraries. If you have individual questions, you can always reach out to me by email. I'll put my email in the chat. Hopefully I'll be able to help you or direct you to where you need to go. And I think that's Midwinter. That was the last thing. So yes, I just got done attending ALA Midwinter. And just for those of you that don't know, I am the New Hampshire Library Association chapter counselor. So I am on the governing body of ALA. I'm also a member of Policy Corps, the Committee on Legislation and the Committee on Library Advocacy. And I'm actually the new member on the Advocacy Committee for United for Libraries, which is the trustees arm for the National Association. So I think one of the biggest things that two of the biggest things that came out of the council stuff was that there was a resolution that was created by the Committee on Legislation that I'm a member of that affirms broadband as a human right. And that is going to start moving some influence forward to get some federal legislation for more broadband initiatives. The second one, is somebody else talking or am I? Okay.
No, I think you're good.
Okay. The second piece is there was a resolution put forward because some ALA members really felt they wanted ALA to push for library workers to be prioritized for vaccines. I worked with the Committee on Legislation to drastically amend that resolution, which did carry, because I think you all may understand, and this is why I'm mentioning this, asking the CDC to amend their guidelines is going to do nothing to get library workers the vaccine. The CDC makes whatever guidelines they want, and then the states can do whatever they want. Case in point, New Hampshire, CDC says that teachers and educators should be in the level 1 priority groups. In New Hampshire, they are not. NEA New Hampshire has been lobbying unsuccessfully so far to be put into level 1 to get the vaccine. So I'm just pointing out, and there are other states that have put educators into level 1 for vaccine priority, but it's up to the states. So vaccine distribution is a local and state issue. So it needs local and state advocacy. So the bottom line is the resolution was amended to basically acknowledge that. And to affirm also that library workers do have a right to a safer work environment. And that's a truth universally acknowledged. Does that translate into some kind of action step to get library workers the vaccine quicker? No, it's not going to. Or else we're going to be shooting ourselves in the foot if we try to lobby any or try to influence any federal agencies to do that. It's going to be a lost cause. So I think those are the two main things from Midwinter I wanted to mention because you might start hearing about it. I have had a handful of emails from library directors asking about prioritizing library workers and New Hampshire's vaccine, eligibility. And I have put that to the NHLTA leadership, President Yvette Kauser, who's out of Merrimack, and past President Amy Lappin out of Lebanon. And I know we're going to have a further discussion, but this is fraught. Because as you know, New Hampshire is local control. So I think we'd be doing ourselves a disservice if we really made that, tried to make that into a big issue, and it would be bad for us in a political perception way for the future. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Rick Wood, you had your hand up. Did you have a question?
I put it in the chat. It's with Lori, with your unique experience of being on the front line call center. You had mentioned there are a number of good resources, but from your perspective, it'd be nice if you could share which resource or two that you found the most helpful being in that real life experience that we can use as a guideline.
Okay, as far as signing up, you know, the fastest way to get an appointment is to do it all online.
So
We all know in this
Now-
group, but we all know in this group that is a ridiculous thing to have people do who are 65 and older.
Yep.
I mean, really ridiculous. I thought that when the governor did his press conference and announced it, and then said probably the call center at 211 will be able to take registrations by phone, and that's why they did the turnaround and they asked all the state agencies to contribute people, because they realized, oh crap, there's going to be a lot of people who aren't going to be able to do it online, and they're going to be calling. So resources as far as information, Bobby has sent a bunch of things to the NAES list, and what I can do is I can forward them. Bobby Slosar is our technology resources librarian. She is also doing call center time, and she has been putting together stuff from the tech end to be aware of. So I can forward those emails to the NHLTA list to share with you.
Yep.
There's also been 1 or 2 graphics that have been shared by librarians that they're using on their social media sites to promote the idea that, you know, here's how you go about doing an online registration. And if you need help, call the library if you have questions, and they can try to help you. So
Well,
does that
and
answer
my
your question?
Well, my question is more in mind of the staff helping. You know, I've
What
gone
can-
through the procedure and I've seen the procedures, and for a tech savvy person, to your point, you can follow them,
Yeah,
but they're not easy.
sort of.
But from a staff standpoint, I don't want to frustrate the staff without having some good direction and guidelines, if there are such things that are even available.
Oh,
I mean, this is Bert Saul, just a quick interruption. It would seem that trustees, well, this may be inappropriate trustees, but those of us who are of at the age that we've had to register and we've gone through this process might be good resources to help as well. I appreciate we're not staff members, but having gone through the process and hit the browser requirements and this requirement and the VAMs this and the VAMs that, you know, I've actually been through it, and it's hard for a younger person who hasn't actually suffered through the process to consult.
it can be. I think one of the biggest things is that it can be frustrating to do tech help over the phone.
Right.
But I do think there are qualified library staff people across the state in various libraries who can do that, and
Absolutely.
who have the patience to walk people through. Bobby did share, and this is one of the things I'll share. She shared some screenshots from the process, so that you can sort of see what the person is probably seeing on either their phone or their laptop. We finally got today, and now what is today? Today is Wednesday, and we started this on Friday, being in the call center. We finally got screenshots today in our resource links through Teams. We didn't get a Teams group for the state employees doing this until yesterday.
Right.
So it's been rough. Honestly, it's been really rough.
Yeah.
So like I said, I think the resources that I can send to you all that would be the most useful right now, and then we can continue to update and send things, is things that Bobby has put out to the NAES list already. We've been dealing with some librarians who are interested in having their library take a more active part in their community with helping. Do I think that having some kind of in-person, you know, computer time with the potential for troubleshooting help is better than over the phone? Oh God, yes. But if your library is not in a position to do that, the next best thing is just to be available, even to talk to someone on the phone, so they can tell you where they're at in the process. And with Bobby's, the information she's put out and information that I'm going to continue to put out, there may be some troubleshooting that can be done there that will save them an hour and a half wait on the 211 line.
Right. The better screenshots are, I'm really glad to hear that, because when I registered on the 23rd, there was almost a comical thing on with black magic marker crossing out various things with arrows. It was sort of a reminder of, well, I won't say what it's a reminder of. Very glad, better screenshots. That should really help.
Yeah,
And just on a minor note, when I finished signing up, I was given a street address
Yep.
without any indication of where that street address sent to me. And when I went to Google Maps, there was nothing there. I found out later on that it was a parking lot at an athletic field where they're going to do it. Without knowing that, it would have been a very odd situation. I didn't know what I was looking for. So
yeah, the analogy that I have heard in these Teams meetings, and remember, I am not part of the decision-making team for any of this, is that they are building the plane as they are flying it. That was the analogy that was used. So I agree with you. There have also been instances where there has been a vaccination location that people have been scheduled to, and then they are canceled. And then today I just heard that they're on a call. I got on for 5 minutes before this call because I was on another call previous to that, but I wanted to get in on this training call to see if there's any major new developments. And one of them is that there's been a glitch in the VAMS system today, and some people have received cancellation emails that are not true. And you go, if they log back into their VAMS account and they see that their appointment is still intact, it is still intact. So it's little things like that that are making it really difficult to have the good communication. And it's not coming from the top down. It's like that, like I said, they're building the plane as we're flying it. So I apologize that I can't help more, but Bobby and I are trying to assemble information as quickly and as comprehensively as we can, so that if libraries do want to help with this process, they would have some resources to go to. I have referred to, there was one email by the librarian from Kensington. She sent, when she did her form, I think it was for her mother, and she sent some pointers for the VAMS piece of it, and how, for those of you who have done it, when you get to the ethnicity, how you can't just check on the ethnicity. You have to then click the arrow to move it over to the right. That was super helpful to know that. I have pulled her email up, I don't know how many times, to go through that. And that's nothing that the state gave me as a resource. That's from one of our librarians. So
I'd like to say one thing that apparently is a problem is that if you don't have a 603 area code on your cell phone, if you put your phone number in and it's, my husband has a 4751 for some reason, anyway, when he signs up, he needs to use my phone number because it's 603.
Just a point of curiosity, Katrinka, is that on the registration piece of it or on the VAMS side of it?
I thought must be the registration part.
Okay, that would make sense because that's a New Hampshire generated form and registration system. So,
but I do know people who have moved into the area and they still have their DC area cell phone, and that's their phone. I mean, so that could be another issue. Yes, John.
Yeah, I think it was the noontime WMUR, or maybe this morning, said something that if you're registering multiple people, if you do it, you can't do it from the same email.
Yeah,
you have to use a different email account.
That is correct.
Yeah.
The registration system will only take one email that covers, and when you register, what we've been doing is if you have a spouse, for example, who is also over 65, now they have to still be eligible. It can't be, I've had calls from people where either the husband or wife is over 65 and then their spouse is younger than 65, and they want to register together. I'm like, no, you can't, because if it's different criteria. Over 65 is 1B. 1C is 65 and younger, have to have 2 or more pre-existing conditions. That has to go through doctor's office. That's how that works right now. And they will have separate appointments. There's no way on God's green earth that they are going to ever have the same appointment for a vaccination because of that. So getting people to understand that has been very challenging, to say the least. I do want to speak to Leslie put in the chat. The governor said that registering for second doses will happen through a separate sign up. That is true, Leslie. And the criteria is you have to have your first vaccination done before you will receive an email or a phone call to schedule your second one. So there is no way to sign up for your second dose until after you get your first one. So,
Lori, Marcia here. I heard yesterday that someone who had gotten their shot was not able to register for their second. They had the information, but that all the slots are full. Have you heard anything about that?
It's not that slots are full. It's that you have to understand that, again, building the plane as we're flying it. This is, you know, a certain number of days away, and we don't know how much vaccine we're going to have. We're guessing. You know, it's been really haphazard how much vaccine we're actually going to get at a certain time. That's been the main problem, is trying to predict that. Now we're all hoping that with the new administration in Washington, that they are, from what I understand and what I heard today on an ALA Policy Corps call, is that they are working that Biden administration's working very hard on streamlining a national vaccine distribution plan so that it's more reliable and more consistent in how much is delivered and when to each state. So, but that's in process. And so second doses, even if you get your first dose today, you're not eligible to get your second dose until probably about 30 plus days from there. So, you know, that's a whole different animal, second dose.
Oh, well,
I know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a downer to everybody, but I did want to mention that, you know, this is something that your libraries will probably be hearing about. You will probably hear from frustrated patrons, but it's also, I would like you to just look at it as an opportunity. If you have the staff with the skill set and the desire to show library value in your community, to try to help those in your community that are trying to register for the vaccine and get it right now.
yeah, that's a really good point, especially as we're going into budget, you know, budget hearings and budget season right now. It never hurts to have support. Well, thank you for that synopsis. I didn't really mean for this to turn into a vaccine thing, but so many of us are in the right age group anyway to start signing up as of Friday. And thank you for manning the call center. I'm sure that's rewarding but frustrating.
It is, and I appreciate you saying that, Katrinka, because it is. And people mean well, but there are a lot of frustrated and scared people out there right now. And my goal and Bobby's goal is to come away with information we can share with our library community to try to help them help other people in their community directly as well. So please I'll put my email in the chat. Anyone can reach out to me with questions you may have. No question is stupid, because this process is nuts. So, you know, please feel free to communicate with me. I will try to help you as best I can.
Lori, this is Bert Saul. Could I ask a different, an ALA question?
Sure thing.
And it's hopefully, Katrinka, it'll keep us on track. It's related to ALA finances. Any up-to-date news on that, or should I just read all the stuff I'm getting from ALA and that?
Well, I'll be sending out my ALA counselor report by early next week, and I'll have links to the various documents. Long story short, Tracy Hall, who is the current president of ALA, has done some major work she's created a 5-year pivot strategy, really made a good plan for revenue enhancement. And also one of the biggest struggles they've had with the accounting and finance process is they outsourced their a lot of their accounting stuff to a firm overseas, which when COVID hit, they weren't getting reports at all. So they really had no official tally for where they were. That is turning around. They are in the process of getting out of that contract. I was pleased with Maggie Farrell, the ALA Treasurer's report on how we're doing and where we're going into from 2021 and looking towards fiscal year 2022. But the details will be in my report, which I will share with the NHLTA list. So thank you for that question. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I just want to say that Susan Gilbert put in the comments that Lori Fisher is the New Hampshire treasurer. So.
Well, thank you, Susan. You're a treasure too. All of our library directors and library trustees are, because you guys are what keeps your communities informed. And you're all here trying to do this in a way that's going to benefit the people that you live with and interact with. So I applaud all of you, because that's just awesome.
Thank you. We are starting to wind down as we, I mean, I'm happy to go. We don't have to stop right at 3 o'clock, but I realize that some people might have places to go, things to do, phone calls to answer. And is there any other subjects that anybody wanted to talk about today? Anybody having budget crises or, I don't know, problems? We started off on a positive note, so I'm happy to, if anybody has any questions that maybe we could answer now or at a later time. Yes, Terry?
We've started looking at the social media policy. I was wondering if anybody had anything good out there yet. We have two kind of questions. One, we know our formal meetings for the trustees, we have to let people in because they're open meetings.
Yep.
We got into a big discussion. We haven't decided what we're doing yet. Well, what if we have a program? Can we restrict? I mean, if we have pre-registration, we'd obviously know who's coming in. So I think that's the best way. But what if we just said, put out a newsletter, here's our link to our meeting, and it's well, we do it all the time for the story time. And people start showing up in the waiting room that obviously aren't from town, or, what's the gray area we might be getting into there? I don't know if anybody has been looking at that or not.
Terry, I think that is a good question, honestly, for New Hampshire Municipal Association. I'm going to put in the chat the email for their legal team. It's legalinquiries@nhmunicipal.org. Their attorneys will give you some guidance on that. I think you're going to, if it's for a public meeting, I don't think you can necessarily not let anybody in. I don't think you can cherry pick, in other words. So, but I would confirm with them on how to move forward with that, because if you're talking about a public body meeting, they're the ones that would have the best information.
Yeah, I would agree. If it's your regular trustee meeting, it's open to the public, and whoever the public is. I do know our library has started on their adult programming to do pre-registration. And I don't know if we've had any problems with people coming in, but just to get an idea of how many people would be there. So,
right.
I don't think we've had any problems with story time that I've heard of.
Yeah. For our official meetings, we read the preamble. I don't know if you read the preamble, and that gives us the opportunity, if someone is disruptive, to kick them out, but we have to let them in.
Right.
Yeah, I think my issue more is on with the public meetings. I'm not the programming type meetings. Whatever. So I will, I'll put something in. If I hear anything, I'll share it.
Katrika, it's
Yes.
Rosemary Darcy. I just have a quick question, because I am actually working on a social media policy for the library, for our library. And I'd be really interested in seeing if anyone has one that they feel is pretty good, pretty thorough. So I'm happy to put my email in the chat if you have something.
Rosemary, I have a bunch of policies that I've solicited from library directors to share. It'll go up on the NHLA website. I'm hoping to have them up by the end of the day, Friday. It's just a lot of stuff on my list got bumped when I started the call center thing. So, but hearing you say that, I did collect a bunch of policies. So I'll make sure to share that link when those are up on the NHLTA list. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Just know it's coming.
Thank you.
Lori, are you sleeping these days?
I am, but I don't have much of a social life.
Well, actually, I think most of us don't have much of a social life.
Right.
These days anyway. Is there anything else anybody wants to mention, ask questions? Get the wonderful Lori Fisher to help you with. And yes, Marcia?
ATB.
Or no, you're reading. No? Silence? Well, one thing
I was having trouble getting unmuted. I was going to respond to Terry on her thing about the programs. Here in Greenland, we have posted a lot of our adult programs on our website for the library. And we have been, our director has been surprised at how often we've had few residents of the community tune in for a program, but people from out of state, out of community, and we haven't had anything disruptive with that. They've just been people who must have been surfing and found our program and tuned in. So it's expanded our outreach, whether it was meant to or not.
Oh, so we're back to our silver lining, perhaps. Well, one thing I would like to just take a word to put in an ad for the few minutes we have before 3 o'clock is that this year the spring conference is going to be virtual. We announced it in the newsletter if you saw it. It's going to be May 12th and May 13th. We're just kind of spreading it out so that you will have to make some choices between programs, but not too many. And we're trying to keep it relatively easy on us too. It will be a platform. It kind of works with Zoom a little bit, but it's not Zoom. But it's similar. And I think we're getting to a pretty good lineup. Lori Fisher will be doing a couple of programs. She will be talking, this came as a request from somebody, one of our trustees in Rochester. We will be doing a roundtable on city libraries because you're all so different. And hopefully Lori will be able to help you with your questions and any problems. Nothing I know about because I'm in a very small town. And we'll have a talk on the RSAs. Julie Perrin, who's one of our other stars, will be talking about future-proofing your library. And the keynote speaker is a gentleman, the motivational speaker, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, Deo Mwano, who will be talking about diversity in New Hampshire libraries. And oh gosh, what else? The Goffstown Library will be talking about their courageous community conversations that they didn't get to talk about last year. We're bringing them back. There will be a social media workshop, and that might be a good time for some questions on the social media. There'll be a roundtable on small libraries. Exeter Library will be talking about its building program, which will be hopefully finishing up in May. And that'll be broadcast live from the Exeter Library. Anyway, it's shaping up to be a really good conference, and watch your emails in our website, and we'll send out a snail mail brochure with all the information and registration information, probably towards the end of the month. And it'll be cheaper than usual because we're not doing any food. Or the food, you're responsible for your own lunch and breaks. But so before we go, are there any other comments, questions, concerns, success stories, failures?
Katrinka Betty Eulenbrock.
Okay, Betty, hi.
Unmute.
Unmute. I'm asked, there you go.
Okay.
Hi, Betty.
I had a personal question for Lori. Do I approach her later or now? It's about the COVID vaccine.
Betty, why don't you shoot me an email, or I'll put my email and my phone number in the chat again, just so that you have it. You can either call me or you can email me. Email is probably better because it's calling me. I'm like on the phone for 4 hours straight a day. So it's going to be harder to get through. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
So anything else? Anybody else?
Hi. I heard a professor from UConn say yesterday, stay positive, test negative. So I thought that might be a good way to sum up what we're talking about.
Nice.
Great.
Well, we've had a lot of good positive comments at the beginning, and I'm really glad I was writing them down. I think there was some really good things, and shows that it's not all doom and gloom. Hopefully this summer we'll start, getting back to more in-person things, but we'll just take it as it comes. To quote a former president, it is what it is. But, sorry.
All right, don't do that, please.
So yeah, and as always, you can, if you have any questions or any problems, anything that NHLTA can help with, you can email us. We have the contact form on our website. We try to keep it up to date. When Lori puts links on NHLA, we try to put them, connect it all on NHLTA, so that we're keeping everybody as connected as possible and with the current information. So, and 1 minute left till 3. Last chance. We didn't talk about budgets. That's a good thing. Or how-
Hi, Sandy from the Wolfboro Public Library. I just wanted to tell John I like his changing backgrounds with the frame.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just
theater.
Just playing around here.
Right.
I like this one.
We need the
Feel
one
like
with
I'm
the
on stage.
Caribbean. We need the one with the Caribbean background to have some nice, island.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna do it.
I don't know if I have it, but
At least
anyway.
Bernie's not showing up with his mittens.
I had a great time with those memes. I just have to say, I think every single one of my friends and my family got like, I don't know, 8 to 10 memes through that whole thing. And they're still coming, which is really crazy.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was a fun thing that came out of the whole inauguration. So
Right.
now you can tell my sense of humor.
I've got one with a picture of Bernie, you can go to a website and type in your address, and I've got him sitting on the corner waiting for a bus in front of my house pretty much. But anyway, that was a lot of fun, but I want to see him going down on the Titanic and then no more. But I haven't seen that one yet. But anyway, on this note, I do want to thank you all for joining us. These are fun, and it's good to see people, and even if I don't get a chance to say hi to everybody individually, or if you any questions that didn't get answered, just email us through the contact, or all the trustees, the board members, our emails are listed in the newsletter, and you can just shoot us questions. Happy to try to answer things or contact the people who do have the answers. So we'll be scheduling more of these, not too often, because we have to go into recovery mode, and Lori's on the phone 4 hours a day, so I don't know when you sleep, my dear. But anyway, so thank you for being here. And
Thank you, Katrinka.
We'll see you next time.
Okay.
And I'll stop the recording.